Hello, this is Mark Kuhar, editor of Rock Products Magazine, and welcome to this special session of the AggNexus Digital Innovation Conference. This Young Executives panel will feature Steve Bishop, President and CEO of Maschmeyer, Richard Luck, Executive Vice President of Luck Stone, and Greg Peckham, General Manager of Peckham Industries. Gentlemen, welcome. To get us kind of rolling here, Steve, can you tell us a little bit about Maschmeyer and about your role at the company?
So currently, Maschmeyer Concrete is going through an ERP implementation with IFS. Prior to that, we were at the plant level, not doing a whole lot on the digitalization and AI front. We had kind of focused more on the commercial side of the business. We took our sales group paperless back in 2012, and then we were working towards going paperless on the delivery side in 2019, and luckily we got that out right before COVID happened. Right now, we're looking at taking everything digitalized and trying to connect our aggregate delivery to our batch plants, to our live inventory, to our back office. And we're hoping that going through the ERP process and adding some outside systems will allow us to do that.
And what was the reason or the catalyst for getting into this area and developing it further at your company?
So we thought that it would be a good differentiator. Our market in Florida is extremely vertically integrated. We're dealing with mostly multinational companies. They're moving a little bit slower than some of the family businesses, and we thought that if we could get ahead on the curve on technology, it would give us an edge. We're also looking at some of the QC systems at the plant level, like AI Create and Geotech, that allow you to optimize mixes through AI technology.
Is there a point person at your company who's kind of the technology czar and is kind of guiding the digitalization process through?
There is. We have a vice president of business analytics, Ashley Dawson. She actually started out at the plant level as a plant operator, then an operations manager, and then moved into the FP&A side of the business about 10 years ago.
Interesting. And how long has the process been going on?
We're about 2 years in to what we think is probably a 4 to 5 year process.
Wow. Very interesting, and it's very much a change of the company.
The change management piece is huge. If you don't embrace that and explain the why behind the what you're doing, your people definitely won't get on board, in my experience so far.
Richard, I'll move on to you. I know Luck Stone has always been on the forefront of technology. I've been to autonomous truck demonstrations at your plants, and Luck Stone always seems to be there when we start talking about technology. So could you talk a little bit about your company's approach and how you've evolved over the years in that direction?
Yeah, absolutely. So every 5 years we go through a visioning exercise. So we're currently in our Vision 2025, and the framework we use for our visioning is what we call people, performance, and growth. And so we look at those three areas and we say, hey, what initiatives would drive those three areas? Where do we want those three areas to be in the next 5 years? And so when we were doing that in 2020, thinking about the 5 years between 2020 and 2025, when we looked at our performance bucket, we chose digital as that strategic initiative. So we said, hey, if we activate digital across our footprint and across the three functions of our business, operations, sales, and transportation, what could the company look like 5 years from now? And so we believed in digital as the kind of highest driver of performance based on where we were. And what that did was it generally pushed down this expectation and excitement around pushing digital through every aspect of our business. And so that's the journey we've been on for the last 4 years, and it's unbelievable some of the things that it's rolled into place. When I think about our operations, we just recently came out with an initiative where every person at Luckstone gets a cell phone, so they have access to the data. We've gone through all of our plants on the operations side and created pit dashboards and plant dashboards, and we're creating visibility to the metrics that we hope to see in those areas, and giving that right in the hands of our operators so that they can make decisions real time that impact their locations. then I think about what we've done with our plants is we're working to kind of get a lot of that data capture automated. So it's the data capture is automated, so therefore it's feeding the right dashboard and visibility. And I mean that body of work has just been we're just kind of getting to the point where it's getting into their hands, but to roll into a site and see a morning meeting start looking at a dashboard versus a whiteboard and hear the conversations around what's going on has been really, really neat. Then I think about kind of the processes within a quarry that are changing. So, 10 years ago when I was learning how to lay out a shot, we would stick a pole off the edge of the high wall and it would have a big measuring tape down. And that's how you would get kind of your elevations and figure out how to lay the shot. Then it went to a radar. So where you're radaring the front of the face. And now we're flying drones to 3D model the face of the wall. Then they're uploading that into a system. Our drills have GPSs on them. So then the drill's going out and going to the exact location in the pit to drill the hole with the exact angle that we modeled in the computer system. And then our pit loader has GPS and grade control on it. So it's digging at the exact elevation. And so you think about like digitally connecting an operation like that and the efficiencies that come from that are just unreal. It's absolutely the way of the future. I know many people know that we've recently partnered with Caterpillar at one of our sites in Northern Virginia on an autonomous haul truck project where they're taking their MineStar solution, which is on some of the biggest haul trucks in the world, and they're putting it on a 100-ton 777 haul truck. And so that's underway, trying to bring autonomous fleets to the aggregates industry. So that's kind of all the stuff going on in our operations. On the sales side, I'm unbelievably excited about that because for the longest time, our sales information, we've got thousands of customers and thousands of projects, and it's just kind of hard to kind of create visibility into that. And it all lived in a CRM system where, it's kind of hard to mine the data. And so over the last 5 years, we've really tried to kind of what we call bring the chessboard to life. So how do you bring what's going on in the sales world into a kind of spatially relevant way where you can see what's happening and then create strategy on top of that. And so that's kind of pushing our teams to think totally differently and illuminating opportunities that we wouldn't have seen in the past, where maybe we're competing against ourselves or shipping inefficiently across sites. And then I think about kind of the trucking side. When you think about the automation and the transportation side to get our product to the job site, that space has changed a ton to the point where, we've got a project where we're renovating scale offices across our company. And we've actually paused the project to think through, do scale offices need to look differently in the future than how they look currently? Because we see that space changing so much with remote ticketing and the digital space and being able to assign trucks remotely from not even a person at the site. And so as you think about kind of taking all those digital things across our footprint and then intentionally activating them, it's I couldn't imagine our company without it.
Wow, that's there's a lot of moving parts there, and it sounds like you guys are really embracing the technological advances that are available to you to maximize production and efficiency.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, Greg, I'd like to hear a little bit from you on this. What direction is Peckham taking in terms of digitalization and technology?
Yeah, I think that you'll hear me repeat a lot of what Richard has said, so I'll try to go through that quickly. Our G3 leadership was very focused early on computers and digitization. Back in the 80s, we had digitized ticket aggregators, and we had automated our first blacktop plant with code that actually he wrote. So it's always been a passion of ours, and we've got a pretty robust IT automation and electrical department for that. But you only know what you know in a family business. You don't get to see so much of the outside world unless you're really going out there and looking for that. And actually, Richard and Aggregate and Luckstone has been very helpful in that and allowing others to see the type of developments they're building. And I'm excited to be part of this because I think everyone's sharing some of the technological advancements and directions they're heading can only help the industry. So we're similarly building and have running at about half our sites dashboards for the quarries and hot mix plants that allow our operators and all of our plant personnel to understand, where they're seeing all of their downtime, to understand whether they're meeting their goals. Because every day when you have a scoreboard and you have a target, you have something to meet, is automatically going to be a better day because you're starting to plan, you're starting to think ahead. And if you can plan each week and focus on hitting that goal and record that information that's holding you back from that goal, you're just going to accelerate the growth and the performance of that site rapidly. And so we've seen the gains of that with our quarries coming on last year and running fully this year. On the hot mix plants, it's allowing us to better track our energy efficiency and use of recycled products, RAP, and maximize that output in our mixes and our designs. On the QC side, giving us faster indications that we're going and trending out of spec so that we can identify, oh, there might be a screen that's more a hole through it, right? Instead of finding that out after the fact, by the time it's at the customer, we can do a better job predicting that maintenance by creating systems that review that data and spit out insights, as opposed to where we were before, where we had a lot of data, but we didn't have a great way to review it unless someone was just barreling through mountains of not paper, but spreadsheets, trying to find that information. So I think a lot of this, as we continue, is going to be around, what are the critical few pieces of data from the monster that we're gathering, right? Just a tremendous amount of data that we're gathering. And how do we make sure that before we move on or tackle too many projects, that we're using that data in a way that's effective and easy for everybody in the operation? And like Steve and Richard mentioned that, that it's really about that engagement from the whole group, that morning meeting and that change management. You need to make sure that this is accessible and understandable from every single person in the organization. Some other benefits that we've seen are similar to what Richard said. I'm currently sitting at a site that's got one scale clerk who is cutting tickets for 3 plants. So 2 of them remotely and 1 of them where they're on site, just using cameras and some remote access into those scales, so we can optimize our labor force for sites that maybe are less busy and don't require or wouldn't typically need someone there all day, just to process trucking tickets. And on the business administration side, as we grow, we're starting to use AI and look into tools that fit in with our ERP to automate some of our billing procedures and our accounts payable procedures. Every time you grow and you bring on a new business, you bring on another load of invoices and relatively simple data to collect and process. And we think that AI is going to be best leveraged in our back office for processes like that are very repetitive, and AI can really learn off of and provide a great return.
At Peckham, is there a team or an individual who's driving the digitalization process for you?
So we do have a CIO, and we have 3 departments within our IT group. So we have one focused on automation, one focused on electrical, and one focused on data management. And those teams are working together under project manager and the CIO to make sure that we are best prioritizing our projects, because just like Richard, we have a long list, many things we want to tackle, and sometimes we can get in the way of progress by just tacking on too many projects, and making sure that we're driving an integrated approach across those different departments, so that, like I said, everybody in the organization feels that they have a voice in what we're developing and they understand the output once it's ready.
Do you have a specific team for a specific product line? Like, do you have specific people that are focused on aggregates and someone that's focused on hot mix? They're different businesses and they require different a different approach. Although the back end's probably the same. But are you targeting those specific areas, or is it kind of a general?
It's more general. Like you said, I think when you get down to collecting data across those different lines of businesses, the processes there are very repeatable and similar. We do have people who are more experienced in the aggregate side or in the hot mix side or the liquid asphalt side. So they might be a little more specialized, but they'll still be able to move between different lines of businesses fairly seamlessly.
Um, Question for all three of you. When your digitalization process started, did you face opposition and pushback within the organization that you had to kind of win over, or how was this process rolled out?
We have not on the operational or the back office side. I would say the biggest pushback that we had was actually from implementing more technology and safety. And there was at one point the big brother feeling from certain people, but we kind of turned that and showed them wins where the technology, like, the camera systems on the trucks or light curtains going in around pinch points at crushers or at block machines, how that is not only keeping them safer, but also protecting them in a state like Florida where it's very litigious and you could get sued even if you're 1% at fault for an accident, you're probably going to pay out. And we've been able to save quite a few jobs actually from people that would normally, be terminated over an accident where it looked like it was their fault, but the cameras proved otherwise.
Richard, I know you guys have probably been milking this along for a long time, so your employees have probably almost grown up in the idea of advancing technology, haven't they?
Yeah, but I would say your question is still relevant to us and still a challenge. And so I think, what we've tried to do is really lead well around saying, hey, look, this technology is another platform to use to inform your decision making, right? So you have your gut, your instinct, your intuition, your years of experience, and now we compare that with data, and the two together should be better with than just one alone. And so we've really tried to lead around that. And we have plenty of examples around that. I was thinking Greg mentioned just downtime tracking, and I was working in a plant, and we really implemented this downtime tracking. And the idea was, hey, the a magnet after the primary was really needed because our primary keeps shutting down because of metal going through it. And so we thought that was the number one kind of killer of time. But then as we started tracking downtime, that was taking us down the highest number of times. But the things that was keeping us down the longest amount of hours were 4 or 5 other things that were bigger problems than that. And so while it felt like it was the immediate need was the magnet, that was what our gut was telling us. We actually had data to challenge it and say, well, gosh, if we're going to spend money at this plant, there's 4 other things that are more important. And so we've got examples like that where when you're able to challenge your gut with the data, people are like, man, wow, that's really interesting. And when you have it and you believe in it and it's accurate, then I think people can buy into it pretty quickly.
Do you agree with that, Greg?
I do, I think that what we found has been the most effective, right, is starting small, right? Picking that pilot site that you have a great team at that is very embracing of new technology, and then showing the results there, being able to distribute that and share that win with the rest of the team as you continue to roll it out into other sites. It's always a bit of a challenge at first to make a change. Most people struggle with change, but as you show them the benefits and they start to see, the successes that come out of it, everybody turns around pretty quickly, because I think one of the best things about the industry is the people in the industry and who we have, and they all want to see their plant succeed. They want to see, that plant run, material get made. They understand that they're out there building real products that help real people in the world and build infrastructure. And so I think once they see that they can have a benefit, more uptime, more tons per hour, a greater work life rhythm, whatever it is from this automation, they come around very quickly. And I'll share an example. We were at a plant where we have automated the primary and secondary, so they can run unmanned, and we get a greater production rate. And they run for about 6-7 hours in the evening unmanned, and it allows us to reduce the hours on the site. And at first, that was a big worry. Everyone was going to be running fewer hours. But this was a site where people were running 14, 16 hours some days and weeks. And they, for the first time when I was there, said, "I'm going on vacation. It's June." And he's, "Yeah, I'm taking a week off." And I've never done that in 6 years. And I can't wait. And that's an amazing thing to be able to provide to somebody and have someone see the benefits of new technology in their personal lives as well.
Definitely an automation success story there. I want to ask you all about AI. It's all the rage lately, and if you believe everything you read in the national media, it's either the end of the world or the greatest thing since sliced bread. So I want to get your thoughts on AI, within your operations, and kind of big picture how you see that benefiting the industry. Steve?
Sure. So our first real adventure into AI has been on the quality control side, on mixed design optimization, taking our results plus outside lab results, as well as in-transit measurements and plant performance, and looking at ways to optimize mixed designs, whether it be cement reductions, adjusting rock sand ratios, anything really to still provide a good finishable concrete product, but also to reduce costs and make the best product possible. And then on the concrete block side, we've used AI a little bit in our concrete block plants, more so on the automation side with car and crawler plants and automatic cubers. So we've eliminated a few people that were in some of the more labor-intensive, safety-sensitive functions there, and the computer systems have really improved over the last 2 years with some more machine learning than AI, really, but it's increased efficiency and definitely improved safety in the plants.
Richard?
Yeah, so we've pointed most of our AI projects towards our sales function, and so kind of the first part that we pointed at was forecasting. So forecasting by product, by plant, and tightening the variance, and that was a big goal of ours. So to try to achieve kind of 1-to-1 production to sales ratio. So we're really excited about kind of being able to mine kind of pipeline and backlog and learn off of those models to better accurately predict kind of forecasting by product. If so, there's a ton of efficiencies in that for us. The second thing we've kind of been working on is actually ease of input and ease of output for our account managers. So almost think about it as like a digital assistant for our account managers. So what we know is the better information that we get in, the more information we have in the system. And so we're trying to figure out how can we move CRM entries to dictation that's transcribed and then plugged into CRM to try to get the best data input. We've got a generative AI project on kind of mining our information gained out of our CRM. So asking it like how, trying to read consumer sentiment, or can you create a call plan for X customer for us? And then the fourth project we have is just more around markets and the quoted market, and trying to understand kind of pricing trends and behaviors in a market. And so all four of those, one's more generative AI, the other three are kind of more machine learning projects.
Greg, what do you think?
Very similar. As I mentioned earlier, I think where we're going to see the fastest strides with AI are in back office finance functions that can be automated, where there's, again, just large batches of repeatable processes and data that we can use to automate AP and more accurately charge off, invoices and process a greater number of invoices. We also see AI being used through our banking groups to better manage cash flow in the business and project and predict, your cash flow cycles. On the sales side, Richard, we are doing some work where we're trying to have predictive analysis of our customers to better guide a salesperson. One of the things that I noticed with my stint in sales was that it seemed like Monday morning, salesperson wakes up and they might have a couple meetings scheduled for the week and people who they typically call, but there was really no plan, right? Who do I need to see? And being able to leverage AI to predict, hey, there's a customer who for the last 3 years has bought X number of tons a week, and now they've slowly started to drop off of their tonnage. You should call them this week. Or they've bought the last 30 days in a row, but they've missed 3 days. Let's make sure that they're on your call list this week, to better guide salespeople and allow them to create more effective plans, and not lose track of some of the customers that sometimes might unfortunately slip through, as a salesperson gets busy, especially around this time of year.
Excellent. Well, I want to ask a final question. Why do you think some companies in the construction materials industry have not been as active in adopting digitalization and other technologies? And what advice would you give to companies who are kind of looking to move a little bit more aggressively in that direction? Steve?
Well, I think our industry has always been behind the times. You can look at some of the charts and see that agriculture is more advanced with digitalization and technology than the construction market is in a lot of cases, right? So I think that the companies that are going to embrace the technology and the change are going to be the companies that succeed and continue to grow, and those that don't are going to get past. I think, leveraging, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a younger workforce, but leveraging your workforce that's open to that change and that has the experience across the different business lines inside your business, and getting those people engaged in the process and excited about it and sending them back out into the field to tell the success stories is really important. And then also, as Richard and Greg have said, dealing with your industry peers and talking to other companies inside of your space to get ideas. I think that our industry's had a history of maybe trying to keep things close to the chest when they think they have something secretive that maybe isn't that secretive, and that the sharing of ideas through associations and events like this are really important to help yourself grow and help your company grow.
Richard, what would you say?
Yeah, I would just say, like, fundamentally, you have to have a belief that this space is worth investing in. And so, I think when you first get started, it's hard to know, well, gosh, I'm adding X amount of headcount to an IT space that isn't my core business, and I don't know exactly what the benefits are going to yield. And so I think you just have to have a fundamental belief that investing in the IT space will generate what you hope it to generate in the future. I know for us, it's one of the hardest things because our IT teams will come to us and say, hey, we need these two roles. And it's like, man, we know aggregates, we don't know IT. I'm unsure of what this is going to yield. But I think for a long time, the leadership teams prior to myself and my team have believed in investing in this space. And as they've done it year in and year out, it's ultimately given us a platform to continually kind of keep the momentum in this space and the performance yields, the benefits to our people, all of those things. I couldn't imagine our company without it, but it started with a belief that this space was worth investing in.
Greg, what would you say?
I agree with both Steve and Richard. I would also add that I think for a long time, the rest of the world had left our industry out as well. You couldn't get out and find that many products out there that really fit our industry. You can make something work, but they weren't built or catered for the industry. And that's why, as our business, we had our own POS, our own ERP, everything was homegrown for us. And now, as the technology is just proliferated and there's so many new entrants into our industry, we're starting to move as a business away from growing our own and building our own technology and starting to leverage more third parties. I also think for a business that hasn't been on the leading edge of this curve but is interested, I think, Richard, you're sort of alluding to it. It can be tough to know where to start, whether it is going homegrown or third party. And I think it's just, again, try to do your best with what you have to understand where the greatest return is going to be, and focus on that, and then move on. And as you start to see those gains, but I think it can be very easy to get into an analysis paralysis where you could tackle QC or business administration or production and automation in your plants, and then get stuck not being able to move on any of these projects. So I think prioritizing using what data you have today is critical when looking at trying to build and leverage technology, and just eating the elephant one bite at a time.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you all for participating today. Really appreciate your insights and the fact that you guys are right in the middle of all this and willing to share your insights with the industry. So much appreciated. Thank you very much, and we look forward to meeting with you in the future.